Last week we talked about the Warlock Shadebinder subclass, and this week we are going to talk about the Titan Behemoth subclass. Bungie just released this information yesterday. It looks cool. It looks like really cold, actually. Screw cool. Really bad puns. There we go. Beyond Light. November 10th. Pre-order now for cool stuff. Stasis Spotlight. The Titan Behemoth. Stasis Subclass Titan Behemoth. Crash like an avalanche. Behemoths are high offense and high defense, creating solid stasis crystals to provide cover or platforms from which to leap. During their super, Behemoths can jump higher, faster, and farther, with unlimited melee energy and high damage mitigation. The Glacial Quake. Behemoths compel stasis energy to attach their body, covering themselves in the frozen darkness, forming a stasis gauntlet on one hand, increasing their damage resistance in the process. Shiver Strike. The Behemoth summons as a stasis gauntlet and lunges forward with explosive speed, smashing through anything in their way. Upon reaching their target, they unleash a devastating jab that sends their foe careening backwards while slowing nearby enemies. Ground control. The Behemoth slams their gauntlet into the ground, sending out tremors of powerful stasis energy that leaves crystals in their wake and frees all enemies in the vicinity. Welcome to this edition in our series of Spotlight articles, where we're examining stasis via each of the 3 Guardian classes in Destiny 2. In our previous edition, we featured the Warlock Shadebinder. Here, we're getting to know the Titan Behemoth. Titan, Smash. 2 things that simply go hand in hand. There are a few combat situations in Destiny 2 that can't be solved, or at least made better, by a quick Titan punch to the face. When Beyond Light is released this November, Guardians who prefer the Titan subclass will discover, or who prefer the Titan class, will discover a new subset of stasis powers that allows them to harness the power of darkness. And yes, fisticuffs will be part of it, but it's not the entire story. As we discussed in our previous edition of this series, each stasis subclass will embody a facet of stasis. Warlock Shadebinders emphasize freezing enemies, and as you'll learn more about next week, the Hunter Revenant is a specialist at slowing the action down. The Titan Behemoth uses stasis as a means of both creation and destruction. So the Hunter stasis sounds a little bit like the Hunter Tether, and the Warlock version sounds like I said last week, a Mei Ultimate from Overwatch, which I'm not looking forward to. I suffer at the hands of Mei Ults all the time. With the Behemoth, we wanted to put an emphasis on the ability to use stasis to create crystals that can alter the battle by changing the very ground beneath your feet. Control the ground, control the fight. As a result, the Behemoth can use their stasis abilities defensively, such as creating crystalline walls to block enemies in gunfire, or offensively, by using crystals to freeze enemies. The Titan Behemoth can unleash a powerful melee attack known as the Shiver Strike. Here, the Titan lunges forward, launched by a stasis explosion at their feet to propel them towards an enemy. While in midair, they summon a stasis gauntlet that covers their fists and then slam into their foe, setting them careening backwards and slowing nearby enemies. So basically the Titan is going to have a stomp mechanic. Boy, this stasis thing is really pissing me off. I don't want to be stomped by Titans. Come on! The Behemoth Super Glacial Quake begins with the Titan forming a mighty gauntlet on their fist. They can then slam the gauntlet into the ground, sending out shockwaves that form stasis crystals which freeze nearby enemies. Covered in an armor of stasis crystals, the Titan temporarily becomes an unstoppable wrecking machine, able to jump higher, faster, and farther, all while blasting enemies with greatly increased melee attacks. If frozen enemies are the bowling pins, think of the Titan Behemoth during their Glacial Quake Super as the bowling ball. able to instantly shatter enemies as they sprint or slide through them. Running amok in a crowd of bad guys and shattering them like a perfect 10-pin strike is a fine strategy, but there's a degree of subtlety there too, if you want it. For example, you can cancel out of a slide into a massive stasis-powered leap, only to cancel that just at the right moment and direct the behemoth downward into a devastating slam. So punch if you must, but know that Stasis has plenty more to offer you, Titan. So with the aspects, we learned last week that these are things that you can find in the open world and equip. And these kind of make... With the Warlock, we learned that the aspects kind of act as like an exotic. One of the aspects that they gave us an example of is exactly like an exotic that the Warlocks have. And the fragments kind of give you, they kind of work like the armor mods, the light mods. So you can get an ability or a buff, but you may sacrifice, like with the Warlock, we had a sacrifice of strength instead of an increase. So there was a trade-off for equipping a fragment. Pretty simple and straightforward. Next week, we'll be going deeper into Stasis with our look at the third and final subclass, the Hunter Revenant. How do you make the quickest class even more deadly? Like they need that. Well, by slowing down everything around them. That's how. Come back on September 8th to learn more and check out the Stasis Hub page